All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Lions Guy Podcast. And on today's episode, we've got Kyle Killinger, who is currently running 3,333 miles from San Diego to California, or from San Diego to Washington, D.C. in about a 4-month period, really to raise awareness for the 22 veterans that commit suicide every day and those that suffer from PTSD and other ailments. So, Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So you were dialed in from a camp, or whereabouts are you right now?
We are in a town called Beggs, Oklahoma.
Beggs, Oklahoma. So what's your trek? Are you coming to, what's it, the 40 that comes across the south of the U.S., or is there any kind of, you
Uh,
know,
Route 66 right now, till Tulsa, I think. Yeah, and then from Tulsa we're heading to St. Louis. So it's I can't run on interstate, so it's all like highways and back roads and stuff like that.
oh, okay. Yeah, I guess you got to kind of keep off. Do you have like a caravan behind you? And
I have the RV that I'm in. My
yeah.
driver, he goes up about 5 or 6 miles and pulls over and waits. And if I need something, I stop. If not, I just keep going. And then basically leapfrog the rest of the day. And then once we hit the goal, we find an RV park or a hotel and camp out, and then go out and do it again the next day.
Yeah, nice. So we're chatting it up, a day after you've broken a milestone of 2,000 miles, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's
That's
awesome. The
that's awesome. That's huge.
Yeah, yeah. And this well, before we get into all this, man, like let's get into you for a minute. Like, who are you? Where'd you come from? What's a little background on you?
Yeah. So I'm from Columbus, Indiana. It's a little town just south of Indianapolis. It's right in the middle of Indianapolis and Louisville. So born and raised there. Um, I currently work in a factory when I'm not doing this. But I joined the Marine Corps in 2007. My best friend just decided that I should go talk to a recruiter so he could get a promotion out of it. And I just decided that, you know, 2 days later, I went and talked to a recruiter, and then 2 days later, I was in San Diego. So it moved pretty quick, but
So you had no plan necessarily to join.
no,
Definitely not like that, right? You're just
not
gonna,
yeah,
hey,
no,
yeah,
not
man, I'll
really.
go have a conversation, and
Exactly. I'm
then
like, it can't
boom,
hurt. It can't hurt to talk to a recruiter. What's the worst that can happen? And then
little do you
48 hours
know,
later,
right?
I'm standing on footprints in MCRD.
Yeah,
But,
man.
I was in for about 2 years, infantry, and then got out, and then I didn't really do much with my life for the longest time, and then I met a guy named Ryan Weldon in a bar in 2015 that was walking across the country for the same cause, and I had no idea about the 22 a day, and because when I got out of the military, I pretty much shunned everything and got into drinking really really bad, and
Hmm.
so when I met him and found out about the 22 a day, and I thought that was really inspiring and what he was doing, and I followed his journey, and I told him that I wanted to do something like what he was doing on a smaller scale because I wasn't brave enough to just sell everything I had and go across the country like he did. And
Yeah.
the place I worked at, we were shut down for the first week of July every year for just a company shutdown, and he said that I should do something on that time, and what do I think I could do? And he's like, well, you told me you like to run, so why don't you see how far you can run in that week and a half, whatever. And I said, okay, I can do that. And he's like, how far do you think you can run in that time? I was like, I could probably run about 300 miles. And I had called him crazy for wanting to walk across the country, and then he laughed when I told him that I wanted to run 300 miles in about a week.
Right.
But he said, only Marines can only be so crazy and do something so dumb at the same time. But so I planned within 6 weeks. Me and him planned the first run in 2016. That first 300 miles I did, and I did that for 4 years. And last year, COVID happened. I couldn't do anything, obviously. And I shut everything down. And
Now, even though it was all outside, like you're running outside, obviously. So even with that, you still couldn't manage it with COVID going
right,
on.
financially wise, I
Right.
couldn't raise money, couldn't get sponsors and stuff. So this year, I work in a new place, and they had known about what I'd done in the past. The 300 miles, couple for the 4 years, and I asked them if they would do something, let me off again for that. And once I got it written up and everything, I went and presented it to the general manager, and he took it to the president and the head of HR. And 2 days later, they said that they were going to let me off work for 4 months, and they let me keep my health insurance. I didn't even ask for that, which was huge for me, And here I am,
There
2,000
you
miles
are.
later.
So was that your ask? Were you asking for, to do the cross country thing at this point? Like, 'cause it sounded like I was hearing you were asking like, hey, I'd been doing this every year. Will you give me the week off? Were you going in there asking for a week and they gave you 4 months, or did you kind of go, hey, I want to take this bigger this time around?
I went in there and I was like, this is what I normally do. And most of them knew what I had already done, but like, this is what I normally do. This is what I really want to do. You know, can I have this much time off work? If not, can I have the week?
Right.
And I told them what it was for and what it was, what it was about and everything. And I asked them on a Tuesday, and on Thursday, they called me and told me that they approved it for the 4 months. And I honestly wasn't expecting it because 4 months off work is a long time. Obviously not getting paid for it, but still. But they come back and said that they approved it, and after that, it was balls to the wall planning.
How much leeway did you have from the time they approved it on that Thursday until you were going to take off?
Um, about 3 or 4 months, I think. I'm
Oh,
not really
okay. So
sure. I forget when it was approved, honestly. But once it was approved, though, it was as soon as I get off work. I'm planning, the route, and I had to find an RV and a driver and everything else. So I was supposed to start in June, but I didn't have a driver at the time, so I pushed it back to start in July. I pushed it back a month, and I met a guy. The guy who's driving, he heard about it. We didn't even know each other. He heard about it through a mutual friend, and he teaches auto mechanics. And he's like, "I'll take the semester off and drive for you." Are you sure? It's going to be boring. Like
right.
you sit in an RV all day, but and he took that on him. And actually, I drove the RV over to his house in Ohio. Um, and then he did, him and his wife did a crap load of maintenance on the RV that basically, if we wouldn't have done it then, this wouldn't have happened because we would have broke
Sure.
down a long time ago. So, I mean, it all worked out. We had to push it back a month, but it all worked out. And we're out here every day in the heat and just doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how things work out, right? I mean, the way you say that, right? Like if it weren't for him, he just heard about it, volunteered, and then boom, he's part of your crew. If it weren't for him, like you wouldn't
Yeah.
have made it. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I saw a little bit about, so what was the influences to even join in the Marine Corps, right? I know we got you, right? We got the best salespeople in the world as the recruiters, but what were your influences to even be having the conversation? You mentioned your friend, but was there anything else kind of behind,
Yeah, I had like my dad had 5 uncles in World War II,
Mm.
and his brother was in Vietnam, and I had other family members on my mom's side that were military, so my grandpa and everything else. And I always had that background a little bit, but I never thought it was something I would do. And then it was really just the simple. My best friend just talked me into go talking to him, and then the recruiter came to my house and talked to my parents that day. After I talked to him, and I went and took the ASVAB the next day, and then that following day I was flying out to San Diego.
Oh
So it
dang,
was
yeah, I didn't even piece all that together because man, I enlisted in '98 and I depped in for a year, so it was like I can't
yeah,
relate, I had
yeah.
a year
My
worth of
best
like,
friend had dipped in. He did that when he was 17, I think, and it was really quick. When my drill instructor found out how quick all of it happened, he's like, "How big was your bonus?" And I was like, "What bonus? I was supposed to get a
what's a
bonus out of this?"
bonus? Your buddy got the bonus. He got the
Yeah,
meritorious PFC promotion for
yeah.
for getting. That's
But yeah, it's
hilarious,
all
man.
good. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
And what were you doing? What was your job in the Marines? You mentioned infantry. What?
I was 0351 as assaultman, which they later combined that with just regular rifleman.
Oh, okay.
So it was a lot of fun until they combined it with just a rifleman.
Now, were you active or reserve or
Yeah, I was active.
active? And you did a
Yeah,
2 year enlistment?
yeah, I was out in Camp Pendleton
Okay, cool.
the whole
Yeah,
time.
good,
It was,
good spot to be.
yeah, yes and no. It was nice because it's California, but it was bad because it was California at the
Yeah,
same time.
exactly.
But there's
It's
everything out there.
Yeah, I was at Pendleton too. In fact, it's a long story. Yeah, I'll tell you someday. But I wasn't supposed to get there. I was supposed to be close. I'm from Maryland. I was trying to get back home. Like when I enlisted, I was supposed to be going to MOS school in Quantico. Come to find out, I hadn't been in Quantico for 8 years. My recruiter failed to tell me that part of it. So I was with my high school sweetheart. So the whole time I'm like enlisting, I'm trying to preserve the relationships. I'm like, no, I'll be right in Quantico. I'll be home on the weekends, whatever. And then I got the school actually had moved to 29 Palms.
Oh yeah,
So so I went from I'll just be right in Quantico to coming home from MCT going, yeah, I'm going to 29 Palms, California. And then I busted butt in MOS school to get like my pick a duty station, as they tell you.
yeah,
So I was tied for like top three in the class. So and the other two guys had no desire to go back east. One wanted to go to Okinawa. One was a lap mover and was going back to New York. So I was like, hey man, first pick of whatever I want, right? And so I fill out the sheet. It says where do you want to go, and you don't get to pick. You get to tell what your three choices are. So I
yeah,
circled like number one, I want to go to Quantico. Number two, I'll take Camp Lejeune. Pick number three, just give me anywhere's on the East Coast, right? I'm trying to get back home to my wife now, Jody. And so I turn the paper in, get my orders back. Okinawa, Japan. I'm like, WTF, man? Like, what is going on? And so that's when I learned, like, you don't get your pick a duty station if your pick aligns with the needs of the Marine Corps. Then you get
yep,
it by de facto. So we're all out in the smoke pit afterwards. I don't smoke, but that's what we do. So when we're standing there and everyone's so the orders for my class, there were basically 14 of them. The majority of them were to Okinawa. So there was nothing for East Coast. So anyone who requested anything East Coast automatically got Okinawa, which was me. So I'm standing out there and between on break or whatever, and there's this guy who's complaining, like he's upset about it, and I kind of go, hey man, it's cool. Hey, we'll all be in Okinawa together, right? We'll make the best of it. It's only a year. And he goes, Okinawa, man, I'd rather go to Okinawa than where they got mine going. I said, man, where they got you going? He's like, Camp Pendleton, California. Man, I hate California. Well, this dude had, he thought all of California was like 29 Palms. So I was like, you'd rather go to Okinawa? And he goes, yeah, I'd rather go to Okinawa than stay in this place. I'm like, okay, so let's go talk to the gunny. So we went into the gunny and swapped our orders. I went to Camp Pendleton. He went to Okinawa. So didn't,
nice.
but it was like a comedy of like me telling my now wife, like, yeah, I'm not going to be that far. I'm not going to be far. And it was like every time I said that, I just got farther and farther and farther away from where I was ending up. So, did you deploy during your enlistment?
No, I didn't.
No, stayed at Pendleton the whole time, kind of just
Yep,
exercising up and all that stuff. That's
yep.
fortunate. Um, so you've been doing all these runs. Like at the time that you did this first one, like I don't know, how were you ramping up then? Like were you a runner, or you were just truly going off Ryan's inspiration and saying, okay, I can go do this. What kind of how'd you break the ice? I guess is something I'm curious about.
I've always been a runner, really, since I was pretty young. I grew up in the trailer park, and everybody would always be riding their bikes or running everywhere. That's really where it started, and I was one of the few people that actually liked doing that. Everybody always wanted to ride their bike, and I didn't care. I'd rather run. But and then once I got older, and then my best friend had wanted to be a Marine since he was like 6 years old. So basically, his whole life was preparing for the Marine Corps. So every time
Was
he'd
his
do something,
family
yeah,
was it like a family inspiration? Yeah.
yeah, and he'd always go out and do pull ups and stuff, and runs and stuff, and he would always kick my ass on the pull ups, but I would always kick his ass on the run, and just like that. And then once I just because he was training like pretty hard when I joined, like right when I joined, because I got my GED before he graduated because we're the same age. But he stayed in school and got his high school diploma. I went and got my GED, and so he was training pretty hard, and I was training with him. So once I went to boot camp, it was just like running wise, it didn't change because I was running all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just stuck with me, and I really never stopped doing it. Even though I'd messed up my knee pretty bad, and I still would try to run on it, and then hurt it even worse. And then I had to stop for a couple years after I got out just because it was so bad, and uh, the doctors didn't want to do surgery on it because it wasn't bad enough. But
Sure.
it was bad, it was bad enough for me. But so I stopped running for a couple years. I did a lot of stretching stuff and uh, some supplements and everything else, and just let it heal. And then I had a friend that asked if I wanted to do a Spartan race with him. Then I never done one, so I got out there and started running again. The first thing I did was run a mile and a half, and it was rough. It was a really rough mile and a half, but just did that, and I did the Spartan race, and we did two more a couple weeks after that, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start running again
Yeah.
full time, well, not full time, but as much as I can, with while I'm working, and that was around the time that I met Ryan, and then it just went from there. Um, the first the first 300 miles I did, I had 6 weeks of training and planning, and that's not enough training for 300 miles. It's not,
Is that
no
right?
matter who you are. I had the worst shoes of my life. I was running in like just K Swiss tubes at the time because I didn't know about like actual good running shoes. Um, I had shin splints, stress fractures, everything you can think of that first year. Um, but I did it, and then
But now, what was the math on it? Were you like 300 miles in 7 days, 300 miles in 5 days?
the first year was 9 days.
Okay.
It was like I think it was like a Saturday through a Sunday thing. I can't remember exactly like the days, but it was 9 days for sure. Um, and once I told Ryan, hey, I can run 300 miles, I had to find out where 300 miles away from where I lived was, because I was originally going to run from like just the state line of like where Michigan, Indiana is down to like Kentucky and Indiana. But then he was like, it's probably easier if you just end where you live. And then so that way
Yeah.
I just pushed the start point back. I found a place that I could start at. I wanted to start on Lake Michigan. Spentwater, Michigan is right there. They have a great big beach and it's an awesome little bitty town. But I met some people. I had one of my friends that drove me up there, and he drove for the first like 3 days. Him and his son, and I made it back. And it was probably the toughest, or the second toughest year that I've ever ran because it was the first year I'd ever done it with a little bit
Yeah.
of training and bad shoes. But once I got back, Ryan actually flew in and was there the day I came in where I live that last day, and it it came like full circle, what he was doing, and it like now I'm doing something like what he was doing, a little smaller. But and then they asked me, they're like, "Are you gonna do it again?" I said, "Yeah, I think I'll do it again next year." And then I went to an actual running store, and they fitted my feet for the right kind of shoes and stuff, and the second year made a world of difference because running on actual shoes that were made for that
Right.
um, made a huge difference. So it's been a
And
lot of
what?
fun.
So that's 9 days, 300 miles. That's over a marathon a day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's going through? Like, were you hitting? So having run only marathons distances like in one stint like that, like you hit that wall. Like in your this, especially the first one, or maybe you run into this often. Like, are you hitting the wall? Like, are you hitting the
Oh yeah.
wall on the first one, or you're hitting the wall on the other ones, the current one, or are you just
Oh yeah. That'll probably never go away, that wall. But so like the first year, I think it was like I think it was around 35 miles a day. I think, um, you know, I would get up at like 4 a.m., run for a couple hours, eat, rest, stretch, and everything else. Um, and there's days I wouldn't get done until 7, 8 o'clock at night. You know, however long it took to make however many miles it was that day.
Yeah, so you're
Um,
running
so like you hit that,
16-hour days, right?
yeah,
Running.
you hit
Yeah.
that wall usually. Like sometimes for me it's different, but usually it's around mile 18 or so, and it's like your legs are hurt, they're tired, but then you know the one of the biggest things for me is remembering what I'm doing it for. You
Yeah.
know, the people that are suffering have went through way worse things than I'll ever go through. So that helps, and then um, people people that support you and stuff that help push you along the way. That's a big thing too. So
Yeah,
it's
imagine you just with that support group around you and the followers and the encouragement or all that stuff. Like you just don't want to let those people down, right? Like they're kind of
exactly
like
yeah,
that wave behind you, kind of like
yeah,
you're riding that wave. As much as mentally you're probably like, man, you know,
yeah. And
I
one of the
imagine.
hardest things is like when you're on a run like that, after like the third day, you're just like, I don't want to anymore, because it takes a tremendous amount out of you. Um, I did the 300 miles 4 times, and it was never easy. It was
Right.
never easier. Um, but getting to meet people along the way, talk to them, tell them why you're doing it, and listen to their story, and just connecting with people, that helps refuel you and keep going too. So it's like I have people come up to me quite often that they lost someone in their family due to suicide, and I'm like,
Mm.
all right, that's why I'm here. I'm gonna run for you, your family, anyone else that feels like they're struggling, feel like they don't have that option. Yeah, you do. I'm here for you. You're here for them. Other organizations and stuff. And the more that I've done this, the more people that I've met, the more organizations that I get involved with that can help these people. You know, and it's just like that's why I'm doing it. That's that's worth the pain and the heat and the tired. Everything else. That'll go away. You know, so that's
Yeah, no.
that's the biggest thing that keeps me going though. Really.
Yeah, no, that's powerful stuff, man. And what with regard to like how has it evolved, right? Like so even when you did the 300 when you did the 300-mile runs, were you like stacking, was it all the same amount every day, or were you kind of loading more in the beginning with less
Yes.
volume in the latter days, or
Yeah, I always made sure that like the last 2 days or so were my easier days, um, and like the last day was the only day I had like a time schedule because I had to be
mm,
in town by this time so that way everybody could be there or whatever. But the third year I did it from Huntsville, Alabama, back to Columbus, Indiana, and I did that in 5 days. That was the hardest year. That was
ugh.
harder than the first year because that was like 75 to 80 miles a day, and that's still the most I've ever ran in a 24-hour period. Was 81 miles. Um, I've I've said a few times I would like to do an ultra marathon, like 100 miles in 24 hours, but after doing that, I don't know if I'd ever want to do that now, just because I know what
Right.
that 81 miles took out of me, and that was 19 hours. So, but
And is that your when you did that, was that like your that was at the beginning of the run?
the first day was 81 miles. Yeah,
uh
the very first day was 19 hours. So I had like 6 hours, 7 hours to get shower, eat, stretch, and sleep. And get up and do almost that much the next day.
Ooh.
It was like I think like 76 miles or 77 miles that second day.
How's that first step feel, man?
The first step, so like I've learned, like especially after the first year, I'd always have my phone or my GPS or my watch, whatever at the time, set to that day's goal. Like that year in that case, you know, 81 miles I had, and like if you look at that, you don't want to start that. I've learned 1 mile at a time, one step at a time, 1 minute at a time. Don't think about how far you got to go, because that is, for me, that is a huge like demoralizing,
Oh yeah.
daunting feeling. If you think, hey, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna run for an hour. How far can I get in an hour? Or I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run for this long. My
Yeah.
goal. Can I make it this far? And then I'll stop, rest, get some water, whatever. Let's try it again. Let's go for 30 minutes this time. You know, if I need to take a nap, I'll stop for a little bit and take a nap.
Right.
Refuel and then just hit it again. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's like I've never just ran the whole day's goal without stopping and rest or eat or
Oh, of course.
because I've ran for pretty much 20 some years of my life, and you learn to listen to your body. If you need water, if you need food, if you need salt. That's the thing that a lot of people don't really think about when you run a lot of distance. Salt's bad because it helps retain water, but you need that so that way you don't sweat it all out. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
But
Do
it's
you still do that? Do you start with your watch? Have you changed? Is that something that you've changed? Like now you just kind of 1 hour, 1 mile
so
at a
now I
time type thing.
know, especially for this run, um, my driver, Mike, his name is Mike. He will actually look out. Hey, we need to cover this many miles. So what RV parks or hotels are close to this mile marker? So he'll find one, and then all right, he'll actually say, hey, you need to be on this road for 18 miles today. All right, and then we're going to turn and do all this, navigation. He'll actually, I don't even have my GPS out anymore. He'll actually stay on the route, and if I need to turn somewhere, he'll stay at the intersection, wait for me. Hey, take a left here. You're on this road for 10 more miles. So that way, I know that I got 10 miles on this road, but I'm not always looking at the distance I have left. You
Right.
know, Now once we get closer, he'll be like, "Hey man, you only got 6 miles left for the day." All right, cool. That should take me about an hour, hour and a half. It just depends how I feel, and there's a lot of walking involved with this too. People think that it's all running. No, I wanted it to be that way, but like when I started this out in San Diego, I hit it really, really hard that first week, really hard, and because I was excited, I was pumped up. I didn't pace myself, so now I walk more than I run, but I'm still covering the miles. So it's not how I wanted it to be, but it's still there. I'm still doing it.
So it's just making for longer days,
Yeah, it definitely a
beating
lot
beating
longer
street.
days,
Yeah.
but it's easier on my body.
Yeah.
Carrying like I was carrying a camelback too for a while, and I had to stop just because it was hurting my back. It's not a lot of weight, but carrying it all day, it just it hurts your back when you're trying to run, and the constant pounding of it.
Yeah.
Small things like that. So I'll carry a bottle of water, 2 bottles with me, and he'll stop 4 or 5 miles out instead of 7 or 8.
Right.
And it's just a constant back and forth. Sometimes I'll stop for 30 minutes. Sometimes I'll stop just to grab a bottle and I'll keep going. Sometimes I'll stop, change my shoes, change my socks, and then go. It's just whatever I feel like I need. So
The
it's a lot.
daggone right, it's a lot. Even the 300 miles is a lot, let alone
It
freaking
is,
80
and
miles a day. What do you? So what's your target right now on the 3,000 mile run? Is it so many miles per day? Are you on like a really structured schedule as well, or are you just kind of seeing how long it takes to get you there? Like what's kind of your game plan for this one?
so when I first planned everything and set out doing this, I planned out 4 months, and I scheduled in 30 days off because when I tried to do this last year, before COVID hit, um, I was like, I think I can do it in 3 months. That's what I thought that was a good 1,000 miles a month. You know, and then I'm glad. That's the only reason I'm glad COVID happened is because I'm glad I didn't try to do that because I would have never made it. Um, so this year when I planned it, I was like, I'm gonna give myself 30 days off, and that's still not enough. I'll be the first to say that. But so when I started out, I covered a lot more ground than I thought I would. It's because it originally started out to be 37 miles a day,
Hmm.
and now we've got it down to about 25 to 30 a day. It just depends on how far the RV park is, the weather, how I feel, and everything else. It just depends. So it's between 25 and 30 miles a day. So it's still a lot, but it's not as much as it was. with the time that I have left. So we like every day, if I cover more than I need to, we'll sit down, or Michael sit down even, and figure out how far left I have to go and divide that by how many days I have left. Oh, hey man, you only have to do 25 miles a day, or 25 to 30 miles a day. So like that makes it easier looking at it like that. And then once, like yesterday, because I didn't even know we were gonna hit 2,000 miles until I was done yesterday. He's like, "Hey, good news, you just broke 2,000 miles." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I thought we were 80 or 90 miles away from that." He's like, "No, man, you just broke 2,000 miles." So it's things like that that help too, because oh wow, I'm basically 2/3 of the way done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like now you're on the downward slope, so to
Yeah,
speak. I'm sure it doesn't feel like that when you get up and get on the road in the morning, but you know it.
it
You know,
does.
it's
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't at the same time. Like I know that I've covered a lot, but like I've ran through part of Missouri before. I've ran all the way through Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio before, so that's going to be familiar territory. And when I get to Indiana, I'm going to be stopping where I live for a couple days. Seeing my son and seeing family and friends and everything else like that, um, and then heading back out east to Ohio, stopping in a town there where Save 22 is at. They're going to have a big old thing for me when I get there. When I get to Pittsburgh, there's a big event there, and then from Pittsburgh down to DC. So it's not like a straight shot across. Um, that's only that's just a straight shot. The shortest way across is like right at 2,000 miles, and the route that I picked and planned for is I never intentionally planned on it being 3,333 miles, but when I got done with the stops that I wanted to make, that's what it came out to be. I thought it was really ironic that
yeah.
it's just pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess it's cool too. You say that like you just ran across the country yesterday. Like I mean, the 2,000 miles, straight shot. Like you just did it. You just
Yeah,
you know ran across the country. That's freaking awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. The what's the like? What's been the biggest challenge to overcome for you through this?
Um, Getting up every day and doing it again, because this is way, way bigger than anything I've ever done. Physically, mentally, uh, but just making myself get up and getting out there, even though I know what it's for, um, and that hasn't changed at all. But it's just like it's taken so much out of me, and I tell people all the time, do something every day that sucks.
Right.
Uh, so I try to apply that. And I don't try to. I hate telling people to do something if I won't do it myself. So you know, doing that, trying to do something that sucks every day for a good cause. So it's just the days that I need to rest. I even know if I didn't plan to take off, that's just part of it. I have to do that and then make up the miles as I go. So it's like I said, I planned for a million things, but there's a million things that I didn't plan for.
Oh yeah.
That so just deal with it as everything comes and hope for the best.
Now, what do you look forward to most, on in your days? Like, is there any part that, besides the
Um,
end, or maybe it is the end, you look forward to, to
besides
the
the
end?
end, every time I see the RV, I get a little sigh of relief because I know I can take a break if I need to for however long, and sit in the air conditioning for a minute and rehydrate and eat and just rest for a minute, and then usually 90% of the time, I'm like, all right, let's go out there and another couple hours and see how I feel then. If I feel like I need to stop that day, if I'm overextending myself or I'm too hot, too dehydrated or something, then I'll stop. It's
Yeah.
just learning to listen to what my body needs and actually doing what it needs instead of just listening to it and ignoring it. Because it's
Right.
easy to do. Like if you're making good time, making good strides and everything. You're like, oh, I can cut out some major miles today if I keep this up. But I'm not trying to hurt myself, and you know going past my goal is cool. But like when you have 1,300 miles to go, it's like, all right, just take your time, slow and steady.
Yeah.
So, because I'm not a
Yeah. You,
fast
you,
runner at all.
yeah, it sounded like, what are you trying to pace between like 9 and 10 minute miles
I
ish?
try to. Um,
Yeah.
some days, when you walk, it's harder to do that, but um, some days your shoes feel great. Some days they feel like they're going to rip your feet off, and that's not fun. But you know, best one of the best things the Marine Corps taught me is take care of your feet.
Yeah, man. When I thought of that earlier, when you're like, changing my socks and all that. I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it
you
makes
remember
it
like
makes a
when you were
huge
doing
difference.
those humps and stuff, and like when you get the chance to change the socks, man, it was like, God,
Yeah,
yes.
it makes a huge difference if you can do that. And like civilians and people that don't know like think of that or hear that and they're like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would that help at all? Try it. It
Yeah,
really does.
yeah.
Like once you put in a lot of miles on a pair of shoes or a pair of socks, change them out and you'll see.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I can relate, and that's true. And even, and again, it pales in comparison to what you're doing. But I just from learning that, like when I ran marathons and I would hit my little crew like halfway point, I would have a change of socks because it's just like a breath of fresh air for your feet, man. Like
Yeah,
it's comfortable. It's just brings just a new level of comfort back to, what you're going through. So.
yeah.
I mean, kind of reminiscent a little bit. Like, do you get a bunch of blisters and all that stuff like that you're dealing with, or have you kind of
Normally,
calloused to that?
normally I don't get blisters just because I run a lot, but I've gotten a few on this trip. Nothing that nothing horrible. But when you're not used to getting them anymore, and you get them, you're like, oh, this still sucks really bad.
Yeah.
It's not something you never get used to, but
Yeah.
it's not horrible. But the few that I've gotten are like, all right, so rip it off, pop it, get it where it's gonna heal, and then put a band-aid over it or something over it, extra sock, whatever, and then just keep going.
Right. Right. You look forward to seeing the RV. What's the thing you least look forward to each day?
Just the first getting out there again.
Just getting going.
Yeah, just getting going. Once I get going, it's not bad. It's just getting going, and then you know there are days where it's hard to keep going, but I think it's harder just to make that first initial step to get going.
Yeah. Are you listening to music? Like, are you listening to anything as you're going, or?
Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's podcast, sometimes it's nothing. It just really depends on how I feel that day. I always have my headphones on, but there's not always something going on. Um, Most of the time there is, but like there are days where I'm just like, all right, I need some peace and quiet. I need some me time, deal with some things that are going on in my head or whatever. So that's been one of my favorite parts of this whole journey so far because um, I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I knew when I took this on, this is going to be a it's for the cause, but it's also I knew it was also going to be a big journey for myself
Sure.
because being out there all day by yourself, some people don't think that's a good idea because it's getting in your head can be a bad thing. But one of my favorite things is like I've got to do that. I've got to deal with some of the things that I've drug around in my life and in my head. Some things for a year, some things for 20 years. And you don't have nothing else to do. There's nothing to hide behind out there. You have to face that kind of stuff, and facing it, in a good way, and getting to leave that kind of stuff behind. Dealing with it and getting through and getting over it, and forgiving yourself for certain things or forgiving certain people for certain things they did to you and stuff, and getting to leave that kind of stuff behind, and just the weight that you get from that's gone. It's like, why did I hold on to that for so long?
Sure.
And
Yeah. There's that meditative
yeah,
state of, yeah.
that's the biggest thing for me that I'm going to take away from this, and just the things that I've forced myself to come to terms with and forgive myself for, and other people for things they've done and stuff. It's like this isn't going to change what happened, but you know, forgive yourself for it, and then just move forward, and because it's no matter what you do, it's already happened. So just make the best out of what's coming instead of
Yeah.
holding on to things that aren't gonna change.
And have you, I guess from some of that, like, I'll say self-sorting for a minute. Have you like reached out and made amends to like, you know, past conflicts or anything like that? Like, have you come off it and go, you know, and what actions have you taken from kind of some of this at this point,
Yeah,
if any?
yeah, I have a couple. The biggest ones are just for myself, though. Like, I've held a grudge against certain people for 18 years for something that was stupid, and I was horrible about holding on to that, and like, oh, they're a horrible person because they did this to me so long ago, and then you know coming to terms with some of the decisions I made with my life, because I was a really bad alcoholic for a long time. I've tried to commit suicide twice because
Mm,
I thought that was the best choice, and now that I look back and I'm like, you know, forgive myself for that because that wasn't the right choice, and everything has worked out how it's supposed to. That alone right there is just accepting that everything's worked out how it's supposed to, even though everything's not worked out how I wanted to. It's better than what I wanted to, what I thought I wanted at the time, and it's that feeling of forgiving myself,
yeah.
and that it's a freeing, very freeing feeling. I'm looking forward to confronting some more things that I'm still holding on to. That I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that, but I've already dealt with some pretty major things, so it's like if I dealt with those, I can deal with this.
Yeah, man, good for you. That's, as far as the drinking, do you not drink anymore, or just
I
learned
stopped
how?
drinking almost. I stopped drinking completely almost 7 months ago. Um, I wasn't drinking a lot at that time, but uh, the last time I drank, I was actually at a friend's house. We were doing a podcast, and I bought a 6 pack, and I drank 5 of them. I wasn't drunk at all. Um, had a great time at his house on the show and everything. But as soon as I left, it just like I hit a wall with my depression. I don't have PTSD, but I got depression real bad. I've had it for my entire life pretty much. And once I left, it was like I hit a wall with that depression. And like I was like, I don't know if it was a drinking or not, but I'm gonna just I had a friend that was concerned about me driving home, which I was okay to drive, and I would have never got in the car if I wasn't okay. But and it gave me like a little another outside perspective, on drinking. So I'm like, I'm gonna just take a break for a while and see if that's what's what's causing that or whatever. And then it's been almost 7 months, so now I'm just gonna be like, I don't know if it's gonna be a permanent thing. I don't want it to, just because I truly do enjoy drinking beer. I don't drink liquor anymore. I haven't drank liquor for a long time because that was my black hole. Liquor, beer is a little different. I don't drink as much of it, and I don't get wild on it. And but if I get to that point and I want to try it again and it's okay, then cool. If not, then I'll just give it up. I don't want to give it up, but I know that if it's for a good change, then it's worth it.
And just for the enjoying drinking beer, is it you enjoy? Are you all into like the IPA stuff beer, or just enjoy
I like
the just
I
hanging
like
out
craft
drinking a beer?
beer. I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
craft beer. I'm not a big IPA fan. I'll drink them, but I'm not all crazy about like some people are about them. But
Hmm.
um, there's a brewery where I live that just makes awesome beer, and on hot days it's I think it's fun to have a couple beers with your friends, but not at the risk of my own like sanity, I guess.
Yeah, because it's a depressant, right? And it's I don't know. How old are you?
33.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, obviously, when we're young and gunning, it's like whatever. But I don't know. As we grow older and life grows its seriousness, I guess. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's where I've been. Like what you were saying, it's like I've hit that so many times and taken these breaks where I just like, man, this is just not serving me. It's like just it's putting this in the house. We just kind of call it the cloud, and like it just puts this cloud, man. And just dealing with this depressive states and depression, like it's and I, that's I've been there, and I'm just relating to you on that. Like you just you hit that I look at a beer and go, man, I can't, man. I don't want to be there. I know what's on the other side of that. I know that it just
Exactly.
brings that cloud, and some percentage, right? I know it's never not going to be there, whether I drink a beer or two
Right.
anymore. I don't know if it's just come with age or what, but it's something. And I talk to a lot of men about that at this point, and it's like one of these conversations. Like a lot of guys don't talk about it. Like they just are like, oh man, no, I don't want to be judged by my friends. Like you got to get over that judgment, because I think, like you're saying, and I found as well, it's like, dude, it's not serving you. Like it's stealing from you, you know.
Exactly. And everyone wants to fit in or use it as a crutch, help. They think it's helping them mask their problems or whatever. And like you said, it's not serving them.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a depressant. I mean, so, and always the thing for me was the antisocialism of it. Like you're there and like you're standing there with a glass of water, a cup of water, or whatever, and you feel like you stick out like a sore thumb or whatever. So uh, geez, I don't know. I haven't been drinking for a while now at this point. Within the last year, just totally done with it. But I've been doing like Heineken zeros and stuff like that. So I'm standing there with what looks like a beer. So I'm kind of like not an oddball. And that's helped a lot, frankly, as far as the socialize,
Oh yeah, because you can definitely lose friends if you don't drink these days.
I mean, isn't it? I mean, it's we found, like, you find out who your friends are and who your drinking buddies are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have no qualms with anybody that can drink and it not control them. Good for you. I wish I could do that. If you just do use it as socially and casually where it doesn't control your life, good for you, man. I wish I had that kind of restraint.
Yeah, and it's just sitting down and getting that clarity of what's important to you, and then go from there, right? Because I've had friends, whether they've been inspired by me or whatever, but have come back to me and say, like, hey man, I'm done with it, or I'm not, or I'm glad you said that, or I'm following your example or whatever. And usually what I find the tipping point is like everything we just said, right? They're realizing it's not serving them in the drag that it's putting on their lives, but they start to realize what's more important than that, right? And until that point, they haven't thought about it. Like, what's more important than this, and then figuring out like those important things, how it's being a detriment to them, whether it's your relationship or your finances or just your ability to get more crap done, because you lose. I mean, I tell all you kids out there, man, as you get older, and yeah, it ain't getting right back up and getting hard the next day anymore.
No,
Like I
no.
carry that crap for 2 days. It feels like,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. That's the main
Um,
reason why I stopped drinking liquor, a long time ago. It's just because, one or two shots and I feel it for 2 or 3 days.
yeah,
Then if you
it's
get, if you
wild.
get, if you get hammered, it's even worse.
But we didn't have that in the Marines, man. It felt like you just
No.
don't even go to bed,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's time for PT. All right. Shot. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go for a run.
How the formation runs, it just smells, it just
Yep.
reeks of booze. We're all sweating it out.
And everybody lights a
Uh,
cigarette up when they're done too. On top of that.
oh man, I in MCT I tried dip for the first time on a night hump, and I didn't know you weren't supposed to swallow it. I'm freaking green, like just that's
That's funny.
things you try when you get in the Marine Corps. What is your recovery look like? What's I guess I'm sure it's many things, but what's the key to your recovery? For these runs, because it's a lot, man. I mean, just as we were talking about it, and I'm just kind of playing it in my head these miles. But what's your recovery like to kind of get back in gear?
Uh, right here, honestly, like that's the number one thing is staying hydrated because if that'll stop me quicker than anything will.
Yeah,
Other than injury, obviously. Do a lot of stretching. I'm on a couple different supplements for recovery too, and it's mindset is a lot of it.
yeah.
It's hard to, like I said, it's hard to get back out there. A lot, but just forcing myself to do it, and then once I'm out there, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did this.
Yeah. Any like you meditate? I mean, obviously we talked about the meditative state of running, but do you kind of like to get your head right? Do you do anything
Uh,
special to kind of amp
I've
up
never
or?
I've never tried it. I've had a couple people tell me about some different exercises and stuff I need to try. I just haven't done it yet because I haven't emptied out my head yet to do that. And
Yeah,
not like I know you don't have to empty your head out to meditate, but like I once I process everything I want to process or I feel like I need to, then I definitely want to try it just to see because I know it's not going to make anything things any worse. So I definitely like to try it
sure.
because
Yeah.
it could help.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, I've been recently this year kind of been exploring that side of things, whether it's meditation or Reiki and all these other things that are out there, and just kind of like trying to understand it. Like I like the way you said it. Like it can't hurt, right? And kind
Yeah,
of understand and experience and see if something helps or fits or gives you improvement or whatever.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
The As
I'm
far as
tired of
like
drinking water though. That's for sure.
Do you do anything like throw any like Pedialyte or anything in it for electrolyte replenishment or anything like that?
I drink. I have Gatorade and stuff. I drink too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think we have some of those packets and stuff. I'm pretty sure. Some people gave us some of those, basically like a Pedialyte popsicle,
Oh,
stuff
really?
like stuff like that. So it changes it up a little bit, and that's nice. Just that little bit of a change is very welcome
Oh,
because
I see.
you drink that much water. I drink water anyways, like when I'm not doing this because I don't drink.
Yeah.
I take that back. I gave up drinking pop and soda when I turned 30 a couple years ago. But since I stopped drinking alcohol, I've slowly started to start drinking pop again, just here and there, just to help offset a little bit. You know, I feel like I need some kind of bad habit in my life. So like that's like the only good bad habit I feel like I can have. That's not
I
not
need some sort
not
of
good
bad
for
habit.
me, but it's not like it's not going to kill me like alcohol will or smoking or anything like that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's not good. It's not great, but if you can moderate it and that's just your reward for the day, you
Yeah.
have a soda or whatever.
When I go out
Have you?
when I go out to eat, I order one pop, Sprite, Mountain Dew, whatever. Like Mountain Dew is my kryptonite. It always has been. But I order one and then I'll just drink water the rest of the meal.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of coffee in the mix.
I like coffee. I love coffee. I just haven't drank much this trip. I don't know why. I just haven't like because we have a coffee maker and we have a couple different kinds of coffee. And Mike's made it a couple times and I've only drank it like once or twice.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't. It's not that I don't like it. I just haven't. I haven't drank a lot of it this time. I don't know why.
The
I think once I'm done running and everything, I think I'll probably drink more of it. But I don't know why I haven't drank much lately.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. The and as far as your ability to refuel, right? I know like trying to eat healthy is tough on the road normally for people traveling anyway, but so are you just dining in? Are you kind of strict on any kind of diet, or are you just kind of like, look, I'm blowing a marathon a day, dude, so
Uh,
I'm eating what I want,
Mike is actually he's a diabetic, so he has to eat certain foods and stuff, and he actually
Yeah.
cooks every day. Um,
Really?
we eat out once every couple weeks. Like if we're in a big city like OKC, we meet up with some people and they took us out to eat. Down in Texas too. We're not against going out to eat, but like so since he's a diabetic, so it's easier for him to make what he needs, and we always have protein and vegetables, and he makes things for me that he can't eat, but I'll eat it too. So um, I don't really have a diet right now since I'm burning so much. So I eat a lot of sweet
Yeah.
stuff that I really shouldn't, but you know, got to have
You say you
something.
are
Huh?
like pounding a box of little Debbie's on the way,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
because you can.
exactly. I went through a box of Twinkies in like a day, I think, or a day and a half. I'm like, I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm hungry and this sounds really good.
Oh, it all
So
sounds good.
I have some people out in Texas sent me a great big tote bag full of like Oreos, homemade chocolate chip cookies, Cheez Its, and a bunch of other like trail mix stuff and other cookies. So
Being on a stent of a lot of training, I wonder. So, do you feel that though? Like what you're eating, like do you feel
no,
different now? No, so
no.
like eating the gedong stuff doesn't bother you, whether you're eating good or bad. Like right now, it's just all the same.
Right now I don't. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Once I get done, I have to stop eating like this,
yeah.
um, or else I'll end up being diabetic or weighing 300 pounds myself. So I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I know diabetes runs really bad in my family too, so yeah, I should probably not be eating what I'm eating now, but I'm justifying it right now.
Yeah. Do you need to I guess that's interesting, right? Do you need to kind of have like health check stations along the way, or you is that like a part of the plan where you're just getting doing like a some sort of checkup medically along the
Uh,
way?
we went to a uh, one of those IV bars.
Yeah.
One of those in Texas. I haven't got an actual checkup. I probably should, but I'm just, you know, I know you can't feel if something's wrong, but like I feel good
Yeah.
overall. So like, if I feel like I need to get checked on or whatever, I definitely will. Um,
Sure.
but I went to a chiropractor like a week ago or so. That was amazing. I'm going to try to find another one here soon because that felt bad. I got a massage down in Texas and it felt great, but I was like so locked up after that for like 4 days, you
Sure.
know. So, but the chiropractor is definitely a much needed and welcomed relief, even during it and after. So, I'm gonna try to find another one here soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. The have you ever done ice baths or anything?
I want to try a whole one. I've done my legs and stuff. I'd
Yeah.
like to try to do like a whole body one, or just for a few minutes, but I don't know if I could do it because I despise being cold, man. Like even
the
after I'm outside all day and all this heat, I'll still take a scorching hot shower. I,
yeah.
but I would definitely, if I could find a place where I could take a whole ice bath, I would at least try it.
Yeah, the and I only bring that up earlier this year to raise some funds for a local youth association. I ran David Goggins puts out that this year was the second one, like the 4x4x48 or
Yep,
whatever.
I've done that.
And I
I did
did
it
that.
last year
Yeah, I did
or
it
two
cold
years ago.
turkey this year. It just kind of popped up, and dude, when I got what's that? When I hit the halfway point, which was what the fifth or sixth run, um, man, I was like, just as I'm sure you feel every day, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know. Like just you're in your head. And so after that sixth run, like going, man, I don't know. Like this is deep and farther I'd ever been. And I went up. I've been reading a bunch of Wim Hof stuff or whatever, Iceman. I don't know if you heard about that, but I went upstairs and I ran a cold bath. It wasn't a whole ice bath, but I threw ice in it and just shot it on cold. And I'm gonna tell you, and I bring this up for you in case of any use or any opportunity if you're in any motels or whatever. My next run was like my second run. It was like a complete reset from an inflammation standpoint. Just getting in that. Now, look, it sucks. The first 2 minutes, it sucks, but um, after 2 minutes, like your body kind of does its thing and kind of adjusts or whatever it's doing. But I started doing that between every run, and my whole second half were easy peasy. Like every run didn't feel as good as the first, but it felt as fine as the second. It's the only way I can explain it to people. Like my first 4 miles, whatever, and then that second stint, you knew you would run 4 miles, but like I said, my seventh, eighth, ninth, all the way through 12th set, it felt like I had just I was on that second set again. So
Yeah,
if you can muster up the courage, I mean, look, man, you muster up the courage to run 3,300 miles across the country.
it's a different
Different
man. It's
world.
different.
If you do it, ping me because I would be interested to know someone like you, like what you're going through, if it has any effect, because it did. I mean, it just and I think that's the science behind it. It's really like attacks all that inflammation and
Yeah.
whatever. So it'd be
The
interesting.
next place I have a bathtub, I'll give it a shot and let you know how
All
it
right,
goes.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Let me know. I'd be interested. Like, maybe you'd be like, man, I'm back at mile 20 again, man. Let's go.
That would be nice. That'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. No, hopefully it serves you because I know that yeah, look, it got me through the 4x4x48. Like if I kept going as it was, I imagine sleep too. Sleep a big
I don't
big
sleep
game
very good at
changer
all.
for you. No,
You would think I would sleep really good, but no, I haven't slept good since the Marine Corps. Um, you know, I can fall asleep pretty easy, but it's staying asleep is my problem. I'm up
huh.
every hour and a half or so for a little bit, and like this morning, I was sleeping pretty good last night. Um, well, on and off, but I don't know, about 5:30 this morning or so. These dogs in the RV next to us were barking like crazy. I'm like, waited out. They stopped barking for a minute. And I went back to almost back to sleep, and they start barking again. All right, I'm up. So
Yeah, that's got to be the torture of it. Like knowing you need it and just yeah, no,
it
that's
sucks
tough.
because I love sleep. I just don't get a lot of it. Um,
Right.
there are days when I can actually take a nap, and that feels great. I love that, but yeah, not sleeping is one of the harder things, I guess.
Yeah, and you're and you're on a tight schedule, right? You're like you are on a set be there drop dead date, right?
Oh
Or
yeah, November
yeah.
13th. I have to be there. Yeah.
And are you on track to get there on time?
Yep. As of right now,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, there's a bunch of people. Scott, actually, who introduced me to you.
Yeah.
He actually is planning a big get together when I get there. I know people from Indiana where I live are taking off work to going to go out there for the weekend. Um, so I'm hoping when I get there on the 13th of November that it's going to be a good time. I know it's going to be good for me because just to see the end, and um, I'm actually ending it at the Vietnam Wall. Um,
Yeah.
so that means that's a big deal to me too because my uncle's in Vietnam. I know we both know how those guys were treated and stuff when they came home. So um, it's just going to be very rewarding um, for me, and people that I've helped along the way, and people that I've talked to, and I don't think myself as someone that can inspire someone, but you know, people say that I have, and you know, I hope that it's in a good way, and I'm looking forward to hopefully helping as many people as I can doing this.
Yeah, I mean, and aside from finishing, right? Like that's a part of the mission, but what is the mission overall? Like what to you is mission accomplished on the other side of this thing?
Mission accomplished. Um, Zero suicides a day. You know, which I know is tremendous, almost impossible, but I don't think anything's impossible. Is if enough people are involved and enough things happen, you know, if people reach out, that's a big thing too. Like we can be here and to support everyone we can, but if people don't reach out to us to let us know that they're struggling, or to get the help they need, then our hands are kind of tied. And but I think that you know the ultimate goal is as long as I can help a single person along this journey, 300, 3,000 miles, whatever, it's worth it. Because like I said, like I told you earlier, the pain and the suffering and everything that I'm going through right now doesn't hold a candle to what they're going through every single day.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so this is the least that I can do to help someone. I know a lot of people say that they don't see how I'm doing what I'm doing and stuff, or they wish they could do it. They would if they could, and I know they would.
Yeah.
I only expect somebody to come out here and run 3,000 miles because it's not, not the most sane thing I've ever thought of in my life. But you know, I figured that something that I'm I have some knowledge of and I'm somewhat decent at, and use it for good, because that there's enough negativity and dark crap out there in the world right now. Why not help bring the light to some people, that are struggling?
Yeah, no. And I think like what's the awareness? Like what do people need to know like that they don't, right? What do people need to know that you're you're trying to get out there more, whether it's to the suicidal veteran or someone that's a family member, like what are we missing? What do they need to know?
Reach out to like not just any like reach out to people, reach out to your strong friends, reach out to people that you don't even think are struggling. Ask them how their day was. A lot of times, these people that are struggling, not always, and I'm very adamant about it, not always, but a lot of these times, these people want someone to talk to, or want someone to talk to them. You know, Sometimes listening to someone else or just venting and everything else. That's that's a huge step right there. That's not going to fix everything. that's just a huge step. If I can call. I've got a bunch of people that I can call because I've been doing this for a long time now. I know I can call any of these people at a certain any time of the day. They're going to answer the phone if I'm struggling with something and listen to me. If I need more than that, these people have organizations and connections where I can get the help that I need, or whoever. So like, there's always an option. That's that's the thing. Like that, you have options. There's giving up just isn't one,
Right.
and we've been we've been taught that giving up's not an option, surrender is not an option. Apply that to everything in your life, not just military life. You know, you're going through a divorce, you're going through this, you're going through that. You're trying to stop drinking, whatever. Reach out to someone. Hey, man, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to deal with this. Listen to me for a minute, or talk to me. Something. If like I tell people, I'm not a therapist, never claim to be. I'll listen to you. I'll talk to you. If there's help that you need that I can't give you, I have connections where we can help you get that help you need. So
Right. And if you're talking to a family member that's suspect of someone, better in their life, like, what could they be doing, or what would help, how can they help, right? Because I feel like that's a part, right? If you feel helpless when you see someone going through some struggling mentally or whatever, I mean, it's a helpless state. It's definitely, going through it is a helpless state, but especially being an onlooker, and so what's some thoughts there?
that's tough. Um, you don't want to, if you know that they're struggling and you know that they're, dealing with some stuff, you don't want to like overwhelm them, make them feel like they're inferior or like it doesn't matter and stuff like that. Just be there for them. Um, if that person needs something, they need something, try your best to help them out. Um, just there's that's a tough question because there's not like a answer all for that.
Yeah.
Love them, support them. You know, if it's really drastic and really call someone else. If you have another veteran that can relate to them better, have them reach out to them. Or if it's worse than that, then you know call the authorities because I'd rather them deal with it and then have them get the help they need than hear about them making the wrong choice and then
Yeah.
reading about their obituary. I
Right.
tell people all the time I'd rather listen to your 3 hour phone call than to read your obituary. Because
Yeah.
you're not alone. you know I might not be able to understand everything you're going through or what you've been through, but I can help. I'll listen to you. I can get you the help you need. If that's what it comes to, and then you know you'll realize later on, like I did. We're supposed to be here. We're meant to be here. We might not know what that reason is right away. I feel like that I'm here to help people now. Once I met Ryan and you know I got through that really dark part of my life. I'm like, I know people that have called me in the middle of the night. You know, I didn't want to answer the phone call because I wanted my sleep, but answer that phone and hear what they're going through. You know, what would have happened if I didn't answer that phone call? I don't want that phone call. You know, so it's never
Right.
easy. So just don't give up. That's it's the hardest thing, but it's worth it in the long run. I promise.
Yeah, and you're I don't know, man. You're living that by example with every step, man. Because it's that thing. It's like every step. It's just like just take that next step. Just keep moving forward. Lean
Yeah,
in. Like keep going, man.
the
So
bad times don't last forever. You know,
right, yeah,
I'm I'm
no,
I'm proof of that. I've been through a lot of crap in my life. Not more than anybody else, but I dealt with it in a negative way for years. You know, and I'm glad that I'm where I'm at in my life because I forced myself to get out of my comfort zone. I forced myself to do something that sucks, but it's paid off a millionfold. Just
Yeah.
alone in the people that I've met, in the past like 6 7 years. You know, I've got friendships now that I would have never had if I would have never done this.
Yeah.
Or if I would have given up, 7 8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Everyone's needed, man. I would say, like, I like your point about just showing them the love, man. Like, show them that they're loved, and know that you're loved, and surround yourself with those people. Know what's serving you, what's not serving you.
It sucks because some people that are close to you aren't looking out for your best interest. Some people that you
Yeah.
care about, and that's tough. And it's tough to let those kind of people go, but it's what's best and it's what's necessary sometimes. As hard as it
Yeah,
is.
it's a part of life, and that's a tough one, right? That takes a lot of courage to kind of face that, the people that
Absolutely.
are not serving you, just not congruent with where they're, even just the direction you need to be going,
Yeah.
right? They're just not congruent, and it's just the same conversation we had about the drinking, but it's just a different flavor. It's not a beer, it's a person, right? It's
Exactly.
that's hurting you, and just like the alcohol, or your diet or whatever else change that you need to make. It's a tough one, man. It just takes a lot of courage to face it and go through that. Um, so 100%.
Once you break through that and get to the other side, the view is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, things going to change, man.
Yeah.
Just take ownership and get it done. Well, yeah, dude. Well, congratulations for you, man. Like, good on you. You're freaking killing it. I mean, good on you, man. It's very inspirational. It's just I've always said that, like setting the example was just the best form of leadership, man. And I think you doing this, just who you are and just choosing to do it and bring this awareness, man. I think it's awesome. I think telling your stories is needed, and I hope more people can hear it. I hope to serve that in this regard through this, and as far as supporting the mission, how can people find, connect, get in touch with you, support your cause?
Yeah. We're on Facebook. The Facebook page is called Because He's My Brother. Um, we do updates on there almost every day. If I'm running, I'll do an update usually when I'm done for the day and let everybody know where I'm at, how the day went, everything like that. Um, on rest days, I don't post as much unless there's something I need to let people know. But yeah, Facebook. Um, the PayPal and the Venmo links are on there too. If you
Okay.
guys can support it, if not, that's totally fine. Just my main thing is just share the info, share the page, invite your friends to the page. Like I said, awareness is like the big thing that we're trying to do, and I'm I'm looking forward to continue this and keep knocking miles out.
Yeah, man. Keep at it, man. That's awesome. 2,000 miles in, all downhill from here, brother.
Thank
So
you.
good for you. So one more time, it's Because He's My Brother. You can just search it on Facebook, and
Yep.
we'll have the Venmo and
You got a big picture of me on there waving a flag, I think, or something crazy. So can't miss it.
yeah, man. Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, man, I appreciate having on. Don't hang up. I'm just going to stop the recording here and then check out with you. But I appreciate you coming on. Great conversation, man. Love story. I mean,
Thank you very
you
much.
got me kind of fired up, man. And so,
I
yeah.
appreciate it, man. I hope
All
I,
right.
can influence some people for the good, man. I really do.
You are, man. Don't even. There's not a hope in that, man. You need to know that you are. Just doing this and setting an example. You are, like, so.
Thank
There
you.
is no hope. Just know that you are, dude. I mean, it's just having this conversation. Just me has been inspirational for me. I know my listeners here, and it's going to be for them. And as they share and tell it, and and you continue on your journey for the next 2 months, man. So
Thank
that
you.
there's no hope. You are doing a good thing, man. So
I
no
appreciate
doubts
it.
there, man. So. Cool, brother. All right, I appreciate having on. We'll have to check in again here soon, and maybe get you on after you're done and get the second half story. So
All right, man. Thank you.
cool, brother. Thank you.